Good afternoon, YouTubers and South East Queenslanders. It's Ben here from South East Queensland Storms, back with you for another South East Queensland weather update. And your update starts now. Good afternoon, YouTube and South East Queenslanders. Welcome to another South East Queensland Storms weather update coming to you on this cloudy and a little bit dark grey and looking Sunday, the 11th of August 2024. And as you can look outside your window, conditions are beginning to slowly deteriorate into a little bit of a dark and gloomy feel. That's because we do have some rain on the way for South East Queensland, and I'll have all those details for you very shortly in this weather update. But before we begin, if you like the content that you're seeing on our YouTube channel, then please click that subscribe button and give this video a like. And if you take a look at the top and bottom of your video screen, you will see our contact details on the other major social media platforms, being X or Twitter, if you like the old-fashioned way, also on Instagram and Facebook. So give us a like or a subscribe on those platforms. That way you've got all the latest weather information for South East Queensland at your fingertips across various social media platforms. So our video this afternoon, very, very simple. We're going to provide you an update on the rain that is forecast to move into the southeast Queensland region as we push through late tomorrow into Tuesday, continuing into Wednesday before we see a full clearance of the rain by Thursday. Alright, so let's jump in and take a look. As you can see on current satellite and radar imagery, we do have a little bit going on in terms of extensive cloud cover with embedded shower activity, as well as some isolated thunderstorm activity occurring across parts of Queensland this afternoon as well. But before we jump into the current and forecast details, we're just going to take a little bit of a refresher of what's happened over the last 24 hours. Now, if you saw my previous forecast video, you would have seen that we explained that there's a little couple of moving parts or components to this weather system that's responsible for this moderate to heavy rainfall that is forecast to affect parts of eastern Queensland over the next couple of days. So the first component, or the first part to that, is that we were expected to see the amplification or the strengthening of the upper level trough, as well as of the development of a surface trough up around the North Queensland coast, and we have seen that over the last 24 hours, because we've seen some light to moderate rainfall fall and be recorded across parts of the northeast Queensland coast, as well as extending a little bit further south down into the Whitsundays coast as well. And if we take a look over the last 24 hours, this is the rainfall that has been recorded in the 24 hours from northeast Queensland down to the Whitsundays, and some totals to mention. Firstly, Proserpine chipping in with 50 millimetres of rain over the last 24 hours, and as we go down towards the Whitsundays, towards Mackay, we had Mount Willem coming in with 51 millimetres, and also if we go further back up towards the north, just to the southwest of Ayr, up there we had Mitchell Road coming in with 26 millimetres. Elsewhere, rainfall in the dark blue dots around Townsville there, down through to Charters Towers, back down towards Mackay. Those dark blue dots is indicative of rainfall between 10 to 24 millimetres, and then the light blue dots is indicative of rainfall of 0.2 of a mil to 9 mil. So the first little component of that system has been working. We have seen that light to moderate rainfall across northeast Queensland and the northeast Queensland coast extending down to the Whitsundays, and as you saw on the previous satellite and radar imagery, rainfall does continue to persist across northeast, far north Queensland at the moment. However, that rainfall is expected to contract towards the south as that trough system drops further to the south over the next 48 to 72 hours. If we take a look at rainfall totals for southeast Queensland coming down towards our neck of the woods, unfortunately, really not a lot of rainfall to talk about, but we did see some isolated shower activity overnight. That shower activity is expected to persist and continue as we go through tonight into tomorrow, and then obviously an increase in rainfall as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. But overnight, rainfall exceeding 10 millimetres just to the north of Maroochydore. We had Maroochydore Maroochydore Depot there at Maroochydore with 11 millimetres, just a little bit further to the north, Picnic Point with 13 millimetres, and then just south of Maroochydore, Bells Creek South coming in with 10 millimetres, and that was really the only rainfall to talk about in southeast Queensland over the past 24 hours. And again, your light blue dots on the chart there indicative of rainfall of 0.2 of a mil to 9 millimetres. Alrighty, if we take a look, the Bureau of Meteorology still has a flood watch for southeast Queensland coastal catchments in effect, and this was issued at 12:31 p.m. this afternoon. The Bureau again talking about isolated minor flooding possible across parts of the flood watch area from Monday. That's due to an upper trough system which is interacting with deep moisture and sustained onshore winds to generate widespread showers and isolated thunderstorms over central eastern Queensland, which is what's reflective on our current satellite and radar imagery. The upper trough now will begin to track south down towards the east coast from Monday, moving offshore late Wednesday before we see a full clearance on Thursday. We're also looking at a surface coastal trough is forecast to develop anywhere between Mackay and Hervey Bay during tomorrow and into Tuesday, which is likely to see an increase or enhancement of rainfall in its vicinity for a few days. As we said before, it weakens late Wednesday and fully clears the coast by Thursday. Now, catchment areas within the flood watch are relatively dry at the moment, but we are likely to see moderate to locally heavy rainfall is possible over the flood watch area from Monday right through until Wednesday before easing and clearing on Thursday. Now, the Bureau has a significant amount of uncertainty in the timing and location of the rainfall. That's because we need to see the exact development, timing and location of the relevant trough system and low pressure system. And I'll explain why location and timing is important very shortly in this video. However, localised river level rises and flash flooding is likely due to heavy rainfall, where we could also see some isolated minor riverine flooding. But due to the localised nature of the heavy falls at this stage, the Bureau says it's not possible to be more specific about the areas subject to the highest flood risk. And you'll see reasons why very, very shortly. However, flooding, as always, may result in disruptions to major road networks and also transport routes and the isolation of some communities. Now, the catchments likely to be affected in this flood watch include the Mary and the Noosa rivers, the Sunshine Coast rivers and creeks, both the Pine and Caboolture rivers, both the upper and lower Brisbane River, which includes the Bremer River out towards Ipswich, and the Lockyer, Laidley and Worrell creeks as well, and the Logan Albert rivers, and lastly the Gold Coast rivers and creeks. The Bureau of Meteorology will issue the next flood watch by no later than 2 o'clock tomorrow, Monday the 12th of August 2024. Alright, now let's take a look at what we've got going on in our current situation. As I said, we do have a little bit going on in terms of current radar and satellite imagery this afternoon. Firstly, if we take a look at what's happening up around North Queensland, far North Queensland, we can see extensive widespread cloud cover, as well as areas of light to moderate rainfall represented by those light green, dark blue, yellow and orange patches. So again, rainfall falling anywhere from Rockhampton all along the coast up towards Mackay, further inland, up towards Bowen, Townsville and up to Cairns. Now, if you're looking at these little pluses and triangles on your screen, that's indicative of thunderstorm activity, and we are seeing isolated thunderstorm activity currently occurring between Charleville and Longreach, and then just further to the west of Townsville to the south of Normington as well. But as you can see, this upper level trough, working in combination with the surface trough, is doing its job at the moment in the first component, and bringing that widespread rainfall to the northern parts of central Queensland and up into northeast Queensland as well. And again, we're still expecting to see this upper level trough amplify and strengthen further as it continues to track towards the east, and then we see the surface trough system begin to contract towards the south over the next 48-72 hours as well, bringing that increase in rainfall to southeast Queensland. So a fair bit of activity going on the radar and satellite imagery this afternoon. If we take a look at current temperatures coming back down towards southeast Queensland, on southeast Queensland radar, you can see that isolated shower activity occurring along the southeast Queensland coast, in particular across Brisbane's Bayside and the Bay Islands, anywhere from Straddie down through Beenleigh, Jacobswell towards Surfers Paradise and the Gold Coast. That's been driven by these black wind streams here. You can see that easterly to southeasterly flow. And again, on my previous forecast video, you would have seen there's that high pressure system way down here in the Tasman Sea that's driving that easterly, southeasterly onshore flow, and that's why you're seeing that shower activity continue across the southeast Queensland coast. Now, these showers are expected to continue overnight, and then as we get into tomorrow, in particular through Tuesday and Wednesday, we will see the rainfall increase and enhance across southeast Queensland. So if you're on the coastal areas this afternoon, anywhere from the Gold Coast up to Brisbane's Bayside, you've got some showers hanging around and some isolated showers with light rainfall persisting along the Sunshine Coast as well. We do have some shower activity occurring further inland. As I said, we do have that thunderstorm activity occurring in central Queensland at the moment. And up on the Wide Bay Burnett towards Fraser Island, we've got some isolated showers up there as well. But let's take a look at your current temperatures. Currently 22 degrees at Gayndah, 21 at Bundy, 19 at Hervey Bay, 20 at Maryborough, it's 19 at Tin Can Bay, 20 degrees at Gympie and 19 at Kingaroy, and 16 at Crow's Nest. Coming into the Sunshine Coast, it's 18 degrees respectively at Coolum Beach and Tewantin, 17 at Maroochydore, And then further to the south, it's 19 at Woodford and Caboolture both respectively, 18 degrees on Moreton Island, 19 at around Redcliffe, Deception Bay. Into the Brisbane Airport, 20 degrees there, 21 degrees in the Brisbane Metro CBD area. Brisbane's Bayside, a little cooler and some showers around Victoria Point, Cleveland, Wynnum at the moment, 18 degrees there. 20 degrees at Ipswich and Laidley both respectively. Dropping down towards Bow Desert on the Scenic Rim, it's 19 degrees. A little bit cool at the Gold Coast at the moment, 18 to 19 degrees around Surfers Paradise as well. And dropping out onto the Darling Downs Granite Belt, it's a cool 11 degrees at Stanthorpe on the Granite Belt there, 21 degrees at Inglewood, 21 at Gundawindi, cooler 14 degrees at Warwick, 17 to 19 degrees at Toowoomba, 19 at Oakey, 21 at Dalby, 20 at Chinchilla, and lastly 22 degrees at Miles. Alright, let's take a look at the official Queensland forecast that was issued by the professional meteorologist at the Bureau of Meteorology, see what they're talking about in their forecast, and this was issued at 4:30 this morning. That should have updated now. Let's just see if we've got an updated one. There we go, we do. This was issued at 4:30 this afternoon by the Bureau. And in their weather situation, the Bureau talks about a high pressure system lingering in the Tasman Sea. And it has been for the last few days, and I just spoke about that. Maintains a ridge over Queensland, and it's pushing some moisture well and truly inland. That's why we're seeing showers and thunderstorm activity in those central Queensland parts, and some showers in the inland areas. The high will continue to move east as we move into Thursday. Now, we have an upper trough which extends over Queensland, which is also enhancing shower and thunderstorm activity. This upper trough will move south down towards the east coast from Monday, and it moves offshore late on Wednesday. Now, again, the upper level trough is working in combination with a surface trough, which is expected and forecast to develop near the central Queensland coast from Monday, most likely between Carmilla and Hervey Bay, and this will enhance rainfall, winds and seas in its vicinity. The coastal trough will weaken and then clear on Thursday. So, keywords there, upper level trough, enhancing shower and thunderstorm activity. It's working in combination with that surface trough. It is going to contract further down towards the south to central and southeastern Queensland over the next couple of days. And if we take a look at the forecast on Tuesday, we see the Bureau talking about isolated thunderstorms central eastern districts between Proserpine and Brisbane, with isolated to scattered shower activity, with possible heavy rainfall between Mackay and Hervey Bay. And then scattered to widespread showers, areas of rain and possible moderate rainfall in central eastern districts south of Mackay. That's as we get into Tuesday. As we get into Wednesday, again, isolated scattered showers continuing with the chance of thunderstorms in the eastern districts south of Yeppoon. And then we see scattered to widespread showers, areas of rain and possible moderate rainfall in the eastern districts south of Yeppoon, easing late Wednesday before we see a full clearance on Thursday. So we have a fair bit going on. So let's take a look at some forecast model information. But before I do, as always, just please be reminded that the following forecast information I'm about to give you is reflective of an amateur storm chaser only and not that of a professional or qualified meteorologist. For all official forecast information, I urge you to visit the BOM at www.bom.gov.au/Queensland. All right, let's take a look firstly. We've seen satellite radar imagery. As I said, we've got a fair bit going on there. We're going to jump in and take a look at, firstly, the first component to this weather system that's responsible for the triggering or cause of this upcoming rain, and this is the upper level trough. So we're going to just take a look at the upper level trough, and there's a couple of things here to talk about in terms of that. This is the first key to the rain that is upcoming for us. So firstly, we're at the 300 millibar level to identify this upper level trough, and as you can see here, it is just here. You see the wind streamlines arch over the top, so this is our upper level trough just here. So as forecast and as described by the meteorologist at the Bureau, an upper level trough is expected to amplify and strengthen as it continues to move towards the east. And forecast data is also showing the development of a cut-off low. And you'll see this cut-off low just sitting in here. Now, just a reminder, what is a cut-off low? So cut-off lows are low pressure systems which they break away or they cut themselves off from the main belt of low pressure. They are usually associated with sustained, and they often cause heavy to moderate rainfall, and also can produce strong and gusty winds as well. So we can see this cut-off low between Bourke and northern New South Wales up to Charleville, according to the European model. So this cut-off low breaking away from the upper level trough as it continues to track towards the east. And with upper level troughs, just remember they can occur at any time in any region of Australia. They generally only last, a couple of days. to a couple of weeks sometimes, and they obviously traditionally move from the west towards the east. So again, upper level trough, there it is just there, and the cutoff low with a little low just starting to break off again. But this system, this upper level system, continuing to move towards the east over the next 48 to 72 hours before clearing the coast as we get into Thursday. What's it going to do? Well, it's working in combination with a surface trough as well. So let's take a look at that. Also, just one more point I want to make with the upper level trough. You can see it tilting here anywhere from the right down to the left. So right to left is indicative of a negative tilt in this upper level trough, and this is looking as we get into Tuesday. As we get into Tuesday afternoon around lunchtime, we can see this upper level trough as it moves towards the east coast. It's taking and adopting this negative tilt. Now, you may ask yourself, well, why does tilting matter, positive or negative? What does that really mean? Well, if we have a negative tilt in the trough, then we obviously see some more volatility or some increased chances of seeing that moderate to heavy rainfall as well. So, again, the upper level trough taking on that negative tilt, which could provide some volatility and increases in the forecast in rainfall as well. So, it could pack a punch as it comes towards southeast Queensland over the next couple of days. But upper level troughs on their own are really toothless tigers. They need some support or backup from the surface, and this system is getting exactly that in the form of that surface trough. So again, we've got the surface trough up in North Queensland today into tomorrow, and then as we get into tomorrow, you can see it starting to contract towards the south, and hence starting to increase the rainfall as it gets into Mackay, Rockhampton, down towards central Queensland. Now the expectation is, and what we're likely to see, is the continuation and contraction of that surface trough down towards the south as we go through tomorrow, into Tuesday, into Wednesday, and then clearing the coast on Thursday. Okay, so the upper level trough working in conjunction, the surface trough working in conjunction with the upper level trough is likely to create that moderate to heavy rain. So again, we see the clearance from North Queensland during tomorrow as the trough system contracts towards the south, and then moving into central, southeast and Queensland. So yeah, quite a little bit going on. If we take a look at moisture levels are very, very important to take a look at as well. So again, the thing to remember with surface trough is as the trough moves towards the moist air, it continues to lift it, and this obviously causes the rain and the shower activity. Now, precipitable water is a measurement of how much water is in the air over a particular location. In weather forecasting terms, it obviously gives us some insight into how much water is in the air, and then obviously the more moisture content there is in the atmosphere, in the air, then the heavier the rain could be if these rain systems come along, and this is what we're seeing. So we're seeing here across central southeastern Queensland over the next couple of days, we are seeing some very high levels of moisture content for this system to tap into, which is obviously presenting the risk of that moderate to heavy rainfall. And if we take a look at relative humidity values as well, between the 300 and 700 levels, again we can see a very moist atmosphere as well. So again, these increased levels of moisture, the flow that's coming in off the coast as well, the east-southeasterly flow driving this moisture into the system, into the upper level and surface trough, all this moisture feeding into it is why we're seeing the Bureau talking about flood watches and the chances of moderate to heavy rainfall over the next couple of days. So another thing that we want to talk about is also the development possibly of a low pressure system or an east coast low. So again, forecast modelling taking a look at the development possibly around the Sunshine Fraser coast of a embedded low pressure system along the surface trough or an east coast low. So we're going to continue to monitor the development of this potential low pressure system, whether it's either embedded in the surface trough or the development of an east coast low itself. Now, if an east coast low does develop near the coast, then we can see a higher chance of increased rainfall totals as we move into Wednesday morning. Now, this is the AIFS, the European AI modelling, our version of weather forecasting, and as we can see, the AIFS is a little bit on board with the low in close to the coast around areas down to Bundaberg, Maryborough, down towards Gympie. And then as we get further into Wednesday, you can see that system, that low pressure system, right along the coast there, driving all that heavy rain to the southern side of the system. So this is something that we need to watch. Because areas to the southern side of the low will see the heaviest rainfall, and that's due to the clockwise rotation or the clockwise nature of how the system flows. And again, remember, you've got all these high levels of moisture, you've got that flow, that onshore flow feeding the moisture into the system. So this is why we could see moderate to heavy rainfall along coastal areas, in particular through the Fraser Coast, down towards the Sunshine Coast as well, and all along the southeast Queensland coast through Brisbane down to the Gold Coast. So east coast lows traditionally, they bring heavy rainfall and strong and gusty winds as to areas they impact, and that's all along the east and southeastern coast of Australia as well. So east coast lows, something to watch. They can pack a punch, and that's something that we'll need to keep an eye on. Now, key part to remember is if the low pressure system develops offshore, then obviously all the heavy rain stays offshore as well. However, if the low comes in close to or on the coast, then areas all on that southern side are going to see some heavy rainfall as that system moves in. So, a lot to unpack here. A lot to unpack. All right, let's get into some rainfall totals, and let's have a little bit of a breakdown of what we look to see as we go day by day. Now, this was back out to Wednesday, so let's take it into Monday at 10 o'clock. Southeast Queensland, really not a lot going on for Southeast Queensland tomorrow. Again, we see those showers activity persisting along the coast due to that southeasterly flow from the high in the Tasman. But if we go further to the north and we get up to around central Queensland, we can see the rainfall increasing as that upper level trough moves towards the east, amplifies and strengthens. The surface trough contracts down towards the south. We see the rainfall increasing through Rockhampton, Gladstone, Miriam Vale down towards central Queensland coast. We'll take it out to 10 o'clock on Tuesday, and again we see the rainfall increasing in intensity. That's because of the surface level system and the upper level system working together, and again potential for moderate to heavy rainfall anywhere from Gladstone down through to Gympie into parts of the Sunshine Coast as we track through into Tuesday night, and we will take that out. Tuesday afternoon, we can see the rainfall contracting towards the south into Tuesday night, into early Wednesday morning, 4 a.m, and then late or 10 a.m. Wednesday. Again, we can see now the rainfall all contracting down through the Sunshine Coast, down through Brisbane's Bayside, all the way to the Goldie, and then we see a clearance as we get into Thursday. So again, lots going on, lots to unpack, lots to get through. Okay, so let's just take that back. Let's just take that back and do another little recap, just in case that was a little bit too quick. So as we get into tomorrow, southeast Queensland, shower activity along the coast due to that southeasterly onshore flow. As we get up into central Queensland, the surface trough starts to move offshore from North Queensland, and the onshore flow starts to develop across central southeastern Queensland, which is why you start to see that increase in rainfall in those areas just there in the green. This is rolling out through Monday night into Tuesday morning, 4 a.m, 10 a.m. Tuesday morning. As we get into Tuesday, the rain continues to contract further towards the south, again moving into the Bundaberg, Fraser Coast areas, parts of the Wide Bay Burnett, and extending down into the sunny coast. We get into 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. Again, the rain continues to shift further towards the south, and it will continue to move south as that trough system tracks down down towards southeast Queensland. Again, moderate to local or moderate to heavy rainfall, all possible from Maryborough all the way down to the Gold Coast. Remember, we're also watching for the development of that low pressure system as well. That could drive some heavier rainfall than what the charts are picking up on just here. And then we see a clearance as we get into Thursday. So, as I've said many times on my live streams that we host in our private members group on Facebook and other video forecasts that I've done, obviously this particular weather system we need to watch in real time. That way that allows us to make appropriate predictions based on the real-time observations that we're seeing, because we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves and predict or forecast too far ahead, because some elements of the system, for example, the low pressure system or the east coast low, may develop a little bit further offshore and take the heavier rainfall with it. Or it could come on the coast and bring heavier rainfall than what's expected as well to those areas on the southern side of the system. But the only way we're going to know where that low pressure system develops is watching it in real time. So again, that's another factor that we need to consider. All right, let's take a look at some rainfall totals per day, if we take a look at some rainfall totals, we're going to jump into some Met graphs. Firstly, if we start with our friends up in Bundaberg, we can see how much rainfall over the next couple of days is expected through to Wednesday. We can see a little bit of good model agreement. The only model that's a little bit more aggressive is the GFS with possibly up to 250 mils, but all the other models, the Access G3, the AFES, the Bureau model, the European model, all in agreement of rainfall. On average, anywhere, also the average rainfall total possibly up to about 144 mils, but rainfall anywhere from 50 millimetres to just short of 200 millimetres possible. Again, as we go through Monday, you can see the rainfall ramping up as we go Monday into Tuesday, through to Wednesday, and then we see the clearance on Thursday. So rainfall anywhere from 50 to up to 150 millimetres or just over that, possible for Bundaberg. If we go down further south towards Maryborough, we'll take a look and wait for the chart to load up there. Is it going to do it for us? Come on, wake up. Nope. Okay, we'll come back and see if we can get Maryborough. We'll take a look. So we'll go, we'll try Gympie, see if Gympie comes up for us. Loading data, please wait. Sorry about this, folks. Technical difficulties you get when filming a video. Let's just see if we can do a refresh of that. Okay, let's see if we can get Maryborough back on the... This will do a sounding instead. Yes, we don't want a sounding. Oh, dearie, dearie me. Sorry about this, guys. All right, let's get back into a Met graph. We'll start with Bundaberg. We've already been through Bundaberg. Is it going to load? Loading data, please wait. Please tell me I haven't got a internet connection issue. I hope I don't, because I've just filmed 25 minutes of this video. All right. Okay, we seem to be having a little bit of a problem there, so what we'll do is we will come back and we will break down some rainfall totals. Let's firstly take it the European model. We'll do a look at rainfall Monday, and we'll see if we get the latest run for this one. Accumulated rainfall. Okay, so here's a look at rainfall for Monday. As we can see, widespread rainfall all along the central southeast Queensland coast, anywhere from 10, possibly up to 25, 30, 40 millimetres. Obviously, the areas in yellow represent the higher of the rainfall. If we take that out into Tuesday, again, we can see the heavier of the rainfall focusing in that Fraser Coast area from Bundaberg all the way down to Maryborough, Fraser Island, down to Gympie, northern parts of the Sunshine Coast, where rainfall 60, 70, 80 millimetres could be seen on the Tuesday. And as we get into the Wednesday, again, the Euro showing that rainfall continuing to contract down towards the south, again with the rainfall all along the coast, anywhere from 10 millimetres up to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 millimetres. Again, the heavier rainfall persisting, according to the Euro, as we get into Wednesday through that central, that Wide Bay Burnett District, Fraser Coast area, again because we're watching the development of that East Coast low, or that embedded low pressure system along the surface trough. Access G, we'll get into the Bureau of Meteorology model and take a look at what they say. Okay, so as we go into Monday, again you can see shower activity persisting along the southeast Queensland coast, again bringing rainfall anywhere from 10 up to 25, 30 millimetres, according to that. Could be a little bit aggressive. Again, rainfall up into the Fraser Coast. Tuesday, again, we see widespread rainfall along the central southeastern Queensland coast, anywhere from 10 millimetres up to 30, 40 millimetres, Sunshine Coast into Brisbane. But again, the heavier rainfall along the Fraser Coast, anywhere from Bundaberg down to Gympie again, and into Wednesday. You can see the Bureau model starting to drop the rainfall totals off as we get into Wednesday, and then Thursday, we're pretty much done. And that will do it for the rainfall totals. So pretty much that's going to conclude our forecast video today. Hopefully this has given you some information in relation to what we can expect in terms of the rainfall over the next couple of days. So pretty much it is looking like a certainty that we are going to see some rainfall over southeast Queensland over the next 48 to 72 hours, and it could be moderate to heavy in nature. There is a couple of elements that we do need to monitor in real time, being that low pressure system along the surface trough, whether it's an east coast low, is it offshore, is it close to the coast, is it on the coast? And again, that's something we need to monitor in real time, because that will be a driving factor in relation to how much rain and how heavy the rain is. So plenty there for you to digest. Hopefully it's the information that you need. But with that said, I'm going to wrap up this forecast video. If you like what you see, again, click subscribe, give us a like on this video. And as I always say, remain weather aware and weather prepared, and I will see you on the next forecast video. Have a great Sunday.